Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Covenant Cast. I'm Zach.
I'm Sugi.
I'm Monk.
And we are going to be talking all about content creation today. If you're unfamiliar, both of these lovely gentlemen here create podcasts and content all the time, particularly around Star Wars Destiny. So we're going to dive into the topic, not just for Destiny, but content in general. So stay tuned. Wow.
You do that every time?
Yeah. Usually it gets cut. Ow. So we've been here at Covenant Masters finale all weekend. First off, thank you two so much for coming. It's been a privilege. You've been streaming all weekend. I saw you made a post on Facebook that I thought was amazing. I kind of caught word of that, which is really cool. So I'd be curious, before we really dive into the whole content creation thing, tell me what it is, what content you're associated with, and let's start there. What is the content like? So you're Knights of Ren, right?
Yep. Tell
me about Knights of Ren and what that is and what your role in it is.
Sure. So initially, Knights of Ren was just a show that was conceptualized with talking about Destiny, because there wasn't one. It was a game. Everyone was arguing about it. This is like way. This basically happened after your Gen Con video. So it's like, announcement, Star Wars Destiny. Seems dumb. Cards and dice, it's awful. Then the Team Covenant video comes out. We're like, we might have been wrong about this. Seems interesting. And then you had like more in-depth videos with like cards, and we're like, oh my god, Luke draws cards. That's like banned in Magic. Luke's got to be really good. And then, of course, it just turned into like, right, we laugh now. But like back at that point, it was like we're arguing. We're like, how does removal work? And then we saw like block, and we're like, that's too expensive. And I'm like, wait, this could be really good. I was wrong again. And so I was wrong about a lot of things with Awakenings, because I'm like, Luke is busted. Card draw is not as good, in this, because I'm coming from a Magic background.
Sure.
Anyways, so the idea was, let's just talk and have fun and like bring people into the show like you're sitting around at the local game store. And then it evolved because people listened to us and we're like, wow, we have people who are invested, into more of a show about growing the community and creating this environment where if you're competitive, you're not competitive, you're new, you're old, you still feel like you're a part of the family and you can enjoy the conversation. Even though it is kind of in a one direction when we record it, you can always kind of talk back to us in post-production by sending a message, an email saying, hey, I heard this is my thought on it, and sometimes we'll talk about it on the show. And we just have this like infinitely long dialogue between us and the listeners. Yeah, and it's really, really crazy cool, because that was never the start. And it's just become this amazing digital shop that people can just come in, comfortably express their opinions and thoughts, and we talk about it.
Sure.
That's great.
So you started talking about Destiny, and you haven't stopped.
Nope.
There it is. Monk.
The whole synopsis.
Yeah. We can cut the other 2 minutes where you were talking, and we'll just have it be mine. No, I'm just kidding. And Monk, I know, Sugi with Knights of Ren, they started real early.
They did.
Whereas I feel like you came into the game at this point midterm now. Not that, a year ago it was new, kind of a thing. So tell me about Monk's Gaming Battlefield and kind of the origin story of that and what you do.
I don't want to try to get too convoluted, but it's something that I fell in love with from the day that I saw it. Which
Destiny?
From Star Wars Destiny. I found it as a very good pastime hobby. I was the very first person to play it on my LGS. I brought it to my X-Wing people that I was starting playing with. We really took it in. Then I didn't have enough players at the local scene, so I'm like, I need to go online. Found out something, other avenues of playing the game, and then I just decided to jump right into it after seeing a whole lot of other content creators, that type of thing, doing what they were doing.
Sure. Was there anything in particular that inspired the content creation element of that? Because you fell in love with the game. That maybe is good enough.
That's true.
But was there anything in particular that sprung you into that?
Honestly, it actually kind of goes into my wife was deployed during that time period.
I really needed that.
Yeah, I needed to really find another way of getting out whatever I was feeling during that time period, and it took me wholeheartedly, and that's when I just kind of chose myself to step up to the plate, try to see if I can give this content creation thing a go, and here I am. I've never played or stopped playing Star Wars Destiny as of this day, I've played, oh my God, how many hours of Star Wars Destiny?
A lot.
At first, I was doing like 8 hours of live streaming every Tuesday. So
That's
it was
crazy.
nuts.
That's really wild.
Yeah.
So you guys have both been creating content, and obviously at Covenant we create content. This is content that we're creating right here. So what, a lot of people, questions we get a lot, right? There's the practical side, which is like, what equipment do you use? How do you set this up? How do you figure out how to do this, that, or the other? But I'd be curious to hear from you, the two of you. I've been involved in content creation since probably like 2007 is when we started posting YouTube videos and stuff. So it's really hard for me to remember it. It's kind of like when you play a game for long enough, where it's like you forget what it's like to be new. Mm-hmm. And I think that's part of what we've been going through here at Covenant for the past couple of years in terms of like just new to the industry, where you forget what it's like to be. And we were so young, right? It's easy to learn when you're 10. Like I started playing Pokemon TCG when I was 10. And it's like, oh,
good times.
I started running events out of my uncle's game or his movie rental shop in my little small town. So it's by the time I was 18, I moved to Tulsa and like went to bigger events and stuff. It's like, this is normal for me. I've done this. I've traveled to events and stuff. But when it comes to content creation, right, I think this is something a lot of people are, as we kind of see the rise, this content shift away from TV to like YouTube and Netflix and stuff, they're getting more and more interested in it, right? And people are figuring out, I can create content about things I love, and people actually want to watch that and engage with that and stuff. So what are some of the unique challenges of becoming a content creator, right? And I'm asking the two of you because, again, like I said, I've been doing this for a while, so it's hard for me to remember all the challenges. And my challenges, I think, were different than what you guys went through, and it's more relevant what you've gone through because, back in the day, my challenge was like, finding an internet connection good enough to upload a 2 gigabyte video to YouTube, because that was not, like we had a dial-up in my little small town. We barely had, what are they? It's not fiber. It's the layer before fiber. High-speed internet, right? And so now, like at our office, we have fiber, and so like it's way faster and equipment and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, so what were your most, biggest challenges starting out as a content creator?
Oh, all right.
You first.
All right, so there's been a lot over the course of the years, but in the very beginning, it was honestly coming up with actual content, because when the game came out, it was here's a game, and then here's some cards, and then we just had a dry period for what was like a month and a half, 2 months.
Between what?
Between like Gen Con and actually starting to get leads. It was a long
Gen Con was August, and then I think we started posting some and the FFG started doing this as well. They'd post they had one for each color.
Right.
And then we'd post a video about that, and then we had some more previews to go with that. But it was from August until December 1st or 2nd when the game came out, right? So we had 4 or 5 months where we were seeing some stuff, and we saw demo games, and we saw some content. But it wasn't until a week or two before the game came up before people actually had product in hand at that pre-release.
So at that point in the game, so we started in September of, what year was that, 2016?
2016.
2016.
It was a good year.
It was a good year. There was a lot of good stuff that Gen Con. But trying to create content that wasn't there was extremely tricky. So you just kind of had to be creative about it.
Do you feel like, I remember that, right? Where it's like trying to figure out what to create. And even I remember back in the early days doing a lot of blogs.
Yep.
And it's like, well, what do you write about now? Like I'm just kind of tapped. But do you feel like you have that problem still? 2 years in?
Not really. There's been a lot of experience gained across the board. But the nice thing is, as we've evolved, I was talking earlier, we've also kind of realized that there's a lot of unexplored space in the casual market that a lot of people aren't really tackling, because, the term in Magic, filthy casuals, it's really unfortunate, but people look down on other players who aren't considered to be, trying to win regional, win worlds. And we really believe that, especially in any card game, there's more casuals or an equal amount to competitive players, and to completely ignore them is a disservice to them. So now, especially in 2019, we've already started to focus on creating content that's normal Knights of Ren stuff, but also start to do once a month, just a fun, casual, non-competitive show that's just I'm going to try this deck that has never been tried before and see what happens, just for fun. Why not? Because it's a game. Like, it's supposed to be a fun, enjoyable experience, not just, well, I win, or I lose it. It's like, why don't you try something new?
Well, and do you feel like I feel like a lot of times early on, right? Especially you go from nothing, you make some content, people watch it, they comment on it, they share it, right? It's awesome. It's like, oh my God, someone shared my article. That's so cool. And like you got that high, right?
Yeah.
And then there's also this. I remember at least back in the like early 2010s, I guess is what that was. 2011, 2012, 2013. There was this vibe of like, you know, you got to create content every day, or you got to create content on a certain day of the week, kind of a thing. And I feel like that mixed with like, once you get over that, where it's like, if I don't post anything for a week, it's not like it's all going to go away. The other thing is like, you know, just becoming more and more comfortable. I feel like even, you know, we've been getting into live streams a lot more and a lot of that kind of thing. Even our podcast, right? It's like, there was a time early on in the Covenant cast where we had very structured topics every week, and we still do that sometimes. But the reality is like, there's enough going on that we're always having conversations about the industry. So we just kind of started talking. And once you just start having conversations, it's like, that's all people are, you know, really wanting, right? Is that in your experience?
Yeah.
Okay, so your one of your big struggles was coming up with what to create. So if someone out there is thinking about being a content creator, maybe they're hitting a wall where it's like, you know, I want to do this, but I don't know what to do, right? I don't even know what my first piece of content would be. Or maybe they have created 5 or 6 videos or blogs or tweets or whatever. What would you recommend to them in terms of like a piece of advice to not run into that same wall? Because like at this point, right, the environment really hasn't changed that much. You're just more comfortable. And you really don't struggle to come up with content now.
Right.
So what would you recommend to that person if they run into that same problem?
Yeah, so like the best advice I can give, and correct me if I'm wrong, but like Steve Jobs was talking about, if you're not doing something you love, why are you doing it?
I don't know that quote.
That's paraphrasing it, but essentially it was saying, like, you know, if you're going to work at a job, do something you love, because otherwise you're just spending a lot of time and your life kind of whittles away. Yeah. So when it comes to content creation as a whole, do something you love. If you feel comfortable with X or Y or Z, and that's why you're doing the content, like, you should never stop. And if you feel like, well, maybe I need to branch out, but you're not comfortable with that, I wouldn't recommend doing it, because especially with video, people can tell, people can read into that and say, hey, you know, you originally started talking about casual games and drafting, and now you're starting to talk about competitive and world, and you just don't seem comfortable with it. Like, if you're not having fun and you're just kind of stressed out, like, you're probably not going to enjoy it. And in the long run, you're probably going to quit. So stay in your comfortable zone and enjoy creating that content. People flock to that because it's, you know, it's natural, it's organic, and they resonate with that kind of content.
So basically, you know, create content about things you love.
Yeah. And
just talk about whatever gets you excited. Yeah, I think that excitement is really important. So what about you, Monk? Did you have any particular challenges as you've been doing this for a year or two that stick out?
Oh man, so I came in just like you're saying, as of now, like mid game, right, of the Star Wars Destiny.
Sure.
And that was a challenge itself, because already a big namers in the industry have already stepped up. A lot of people are already devoted and dedicated to those stream bases. So to be the little guy on the totem pole in the big sea of content creation for Star Wars Destiny was just challenging in itself to get views, get some people that were interested in the stuff that we were doing.
Sure.
Well, I was doing. But all it was is you need to realize how much dedication you want to put toward it, just like the conversation you guys were just having. If you absolutely love what you're doing and have a passion for it, if you want it to grow, then you need to continue to foster that, to make it grow. And I absolutely love the game. Absolutely love making a fool of myself every chance I get on some type of Star Wars Destiny fashion, in LGS fashion or on the content.
Sure.
And it was all about just rolling dice. Didn't need to be constructed. It didn't need to be. It can be silly. It can be off the wall decks. It could be anything that anyone wanted to watch, and I'll do it. It's too easy.
I think that's something that a lot of content creators don't actually talk about. That people don't realize is the amount of work that goes on behind the scenes. Like, a single hour of content can run upwards of 6 to 8 hours of pre and post, and the recording itself.
Yeah.
So, it's never just as cut and dry as it seems. There's a lot of work to create your craft and to, make it sound and look good.
Sure.
And that's something that people should probably be aware of if they're listening and going, I want to make a podcast.
So for the two of you, how long did it feel like, because I feel like what happens a lot, right, is people see these YouTubers,
Yeah.
I guess they're called, in layman's terms. But they see these YouTubers, they see these people on Twitter, and Instagram, right? And it's like, oh, every time this person posts on Instagram, they get 10,000 likes, right? So how long was the process of like creating content before you felt like anyone even cared?
Oh man, that's a hard question.
Do you feel like people care?
I believe right now, I know for a fact people care.
Good. That's good.
And that just off of recent events that's happened, a lot of people came to back me up, which was really like surreal. People that have never met me first time ever, that type of thing, and that was so much support in a tough time that I wasn't used to, and I absolutely love it. But how long did it take for it to get to that amount? To see the people that I continually see on streams or on a video commenting was about 3 months or 4 months.
And how often were you creating content at that point?
Oh, I was making content at that time.
You
I was
crazy.
daily.
Like even
People were like, "Dude, this guy, what is he? Why?"
So one of my things now that I'm even like kind of figuring out and dealing with, right, is like I have this like I love Destiny, right? I mean, I just love this game, and like I have all this energy that I want to put towards it, right? And not just towards like playing the game or building it, right?
Yeah.
I just want to talk about it, and I want to interact with people, and like I'm amped about it. But and like I said, I've been doing content forever, right? But like I feel like the level of like social engagement and posts that I see from you particularly is like I'm mildly envious, right? Where it's like just the reality of like there's this wall, right? Where it's like, man, I feel like I like all the time. It's like I'm always technically ready to like pull up my phone and like hit a Twitter live stream, right? Or an Instagram live stream or a post.
Yeah.
And then like for whatever reason, right? Just don't do it, right? And this is something I'm currently like, before I even dive into it, I'm like really putting my thoughts together. I'm like, what am I gonna do? I don't just want to post a billion times to social because that's what you do, right? It's like, but there is this energy, this excitement about these games, right? Some of these games that I'm really into, and Keyforge is a big one right now as well. And I have this like, I'm waiting to kind of jump back into X-Wing. Hey, don't dog on Keyforge.
I don't know.
I'll come at
It's
you,
good.
bro.
I like
I'll come
it,
at you.
man.
Anyways,
There's a double, triple horseman deck.
you know what's crazy though? So this is what's wild, and this is what we said about Keyforge from the beginning. Keyforge is the perfect game for someone who's never done this before.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
it
So,
is,
and
absolutely.
I'll tell you what, I have proof in the pudding, which is we were doing the live stream from Covenant Masters earlier. I had 3 individuals out of maybe 100 people watching. So that's 3% of the people watching that Destiny stream that were saying, I found you guys because I ran into your Keyforge video.
Yep.
And I learned how to play Keyforge and I love it. Thank you for getting me into that. And then they're like, and now this game here, Destiny, looks really awesome. Can you tell me more about it? And so again, it feels like the one analogy I use for the gaming industry, right, is that like tabletop games forever have been like shots of espresso. And the average human doesn't start by drinking a shot of espresso, right? It's like they might start with Folgers, which is sorry, and I love Folgers. My grandma used to make Folgers all the time, and like I have a soft spot for like going to IHOP at midnight and like drinking their like Folgers coffee, right? Anyways, yeah, I know. I know.
I like the going to IHOP at midnight part.
I know it's not great. I like it. There's nostalgia to it, right? But the reality of like Frappuccinos at Starbucks. What Starbucks did to coffee was amazing, because they turned it from a 50-cent Folgers cup into basically a dessert in a cup, right? I'm even we have a local coffee shop next door, Nerdagio's, and I'm drinking one right now. And this isn't necessarily as fancy as like Frappuccino or something.
They do make good coffee though.
But really, there's like this, because we get it, right? Destiny and all these games, these expandable games, have these amazing communities. And once you've been a part of it, we were talking about this weekend.
Yeah.
There's nothing like it. And it's like once you get it, once you taste it, that's really where Covenant came from, right? It's like we grew up in it, and then it's like you get into college, you get after college, and it's like, man, people don't have this. Like they just don't have it. So like we want everyone to have a chance to have this. to experience this. So anyways, that's why I love Keyforge, because it's a fun game and it functions as a way. I have friends that have been kind of on the periphery for a long time. They're all about Keyforge right now.
Oh, yeah,
And it's like, and I have a game I can play with them, right?
such an easy entry point.
Yeah. So I got sidetracked there. I don't even know where I was coming from. I think I was talking
We're still
about
on challenges, right? So we're just
challenges. Yeah, I mean, I was talking about your essentially how long it took before you felt like people were paying attention, right?
about 3-4 months. Like what's the end of that?
The reason I want to highlight that, right, is like people see these people on Instagram. That's where we got to. How much you post on social? Because I'm jealous, right? But the reality is that it takes time to get traction moving before anyone pays attention. And the other thing is like if you're thinking about creating content and like there's the challenges of like what's the equipment, what do I do, how do I do it, how do I edit it, how do I upload it and stuff. We could do a whole series on that probably. We could learn how to create content. Covenant series coming to you soon. Just kidding.
Adobe Creative Cloud.
Shaking heads in the background. I see the content team shaking their head over there.
Like, oh, God.
Anyways, so the reality is there's all those challenges, right? But I feel like for a lot of people, they think, what do I have to say that isn't already being said? Where do I fit in? And the truth is, everyone has a unique take, right? Like Monk's take on Destiny and Sugi's take on Destiny, completely different.
Completely.
And your guys' content, it may be similar, but it's different, right? It's different. And the reality is, like, I feel like if you're going to start, I recommend just going, right? You're going to learn. And the reality is, you have 3 months where it feels like your main problem is like no one cares.
Yeah.
So like there's nothing to be afraid of when you're first starting, right? Because it's like there's nothing you're going to do to be irreparably. I mean, there are things you could do.
Yeah, you're not
I was
going to
gonna
be
say,
damaged immediately.
You have to be careful though, because timing and placement are equally important.
Yeah, but like
That's true.
if you get started, the odds are those first 2 or 3 months, there's not going to be a ton of people listening.
Yeah.
And you're going to kind of start figuring out how to do a video and how to do it better. Like the quality of your stuff's gotten way better since I first started interacting with you. What was the first Masters you came out to?
What was that?
What was the first Masters? When was that?
Oh, man,
Like
when
summer?
was it?
June, July?
July.
I think it was July.
Yeah, July.
That's crazy. That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
But like I feel like you've leveled up several times since then.
Oh, yeah.
Do you feel that way?
I do. I know. But no, I feel that quality has stepped up. Enthusiasm in the game for myself has stepped up as well. So
Sure.
yeah.
So we talked about challenges for a bit. Now this is kind of similar angle, but maybe less, sad. Which is, what about surprises? So you've been doing it for a year or two. You've been doing it for a couple of years now. I don't know if you did anything before Knights of Ren in terms of content creation.
I did.
But what's maybe one of the more surprising things that's happened? Whether it could be community interaction, could be anything. Could be a challenge, could be a success, could be you had a perspective early on like every piece of content has to be perfect, and then maybe that's changed, right? Like is there anything looking back that really you just look at and it's like, man, that was not what I expected?
It's a really good question. For me personally, I mean, there's a lot of different aspects to that question. So I think the one that stands out the most is by far just kind of understanding that you do what you do because you love it. And this goes back to what I was talking about is, early Knights of Ren, we did it because we loved it. And then mid-range Knights of Ren was kind of like, we were like, maybe we should try new things. Maybe we should try this. Maybe we should try that. And it always kept coming back to just do what you love. Don't try and reinvent yourself. Don't try and reinvent the wheel. You don't have to try and become something you're not.
In the middle, did you feel like you kind of, because you got some traction, you guys were there from the beginning with Destiny. Do you feel like it kind of turned into like not a job, but like you're looking at it like this is a duty you have to do to keep building this thing? Instead of like...
No, that never occurred to me. I actually do this more than I do my actual job. So I guess it's a part of who I am now. So it's not a job, it's just something I do every day, all the time. And I know that perspective might sound kind of crazy because it's like, I have a family and I have a job and I do this and I still play games, but it's just kind of part of my DNA. So it's never been work. It's always been like, man, I am really excited to record or edit or go play a game and talk about it or write an article because there's always someone on the other end going, hey, I tried that. This is what I thought. And you're like, man, me too. And then like you just keep building that repertoire with people, and it never
The conversation,
stops.
right?
Basically, yeah.
I mean, I think on some level, right, the whole, so like there's part of me that feels like content creation is very, I don't know that there's a word for it, and selfish isn't it. But it's like, it's about you.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Where it's like, people are like, Instagram pic. Hey, let's take a picture over here. Let's take a picture, right? And it's like lighting and like modeling and stuff. And it's like, that's one thing. But I also feel like there's the what I would consider the, in quotes, real content creators, right?
Yeah.
It's like, they're the best ones to me, love what they do, and just want to have a conversation. And we're realizing that we live in a world, the stream earlier, right? Middle of the day, Saturday, random thing, right? Just doing some draft and hanging out. 100, 150 people watching. And it's like, I was like, hey, you know, while we're waiting, just tell me where you're watching from. It's like Sweden, Germany, Australia,
That's amazing.
Canada, 10 or 15 different states, right? And it's like, there's this weird moment where you realize there's a couple hundred people who've never met, right? Who've never seen each other. And they're all sitting there doing the same thing, watching a random game of Destiny on the stream. And then not only are they watching a random game of Destiny, one of my favorite things, right? And again, it comes back to this, like you just want people to get a taste for it that you've had, right? That thing that just means so much, that connection with other people. And it's like, they're talking to each other, right? It's like they're interacting on chat. It's like, I love interacting with the chat and having that, but like, the reality is, you know, and we've had this before when we were streaming on Monday. It's like their kid woke up at 2 a.m. They put their kid back to bed. They can't go back to sleep. And they're in somewhere that's like 8 hours ahead of us, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, just literally by themselves in the dark, wherever they're at, right, in the middle of the night, watching this thing. And it's like, and then they're interacting with other people on that chat. And it's like, that's really cool, right? So there's something about that conversation. That's why I think a lot of what you're saying in terms of like loving what you're doing, wanting to be excited about it, because it's like, you know, last night after the store closed, right? I'm talking to Jeremy, he's here, and like all of a sudden it's 2 a.m, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And we're just like, I'm like, I gotta go, because we're meeting for breakfast tomorrow, right, at 8:30, and it's like I'm looking at less than 6 hours it's like 5.5 hours of sleep, and I know today's gonna be a long, awesome day, but the reality is like, without even thinking about it, right, it's like I could probably talk about Destiny for days straight. The game, the community, building it, getting people in, sharing it, favorite moments, favorite cards you'd like to see, cards you wish didn't exist, back and forth. So anyway, yeah, I mean, I think that's just a huge part of it, right? That's so funny. Is you're a mill player?
Wait, no, I'm a control player.
Here we go again.
Reborn.
Here we go again.
The crazy thing about Ancient Lightsaber, I'll segue here into some Destiny, and then we'll come back to surprises in a second.
Okay.
Is that I remember early on thinking Ancient Lightsaber was absurd. It's like, this card's crazy, and it's good, no doubt. But now in Destiny, it's like, it's fine.
It's normal. Like, I don't know. We got to switch that mentality up.
Yeah,
we're like, oh, it's ancient. Okay.
Yeah. I think part of it, too, is like more resources exist, and like decks are more consistent doing what they do. Mm-hmm. So healing 2 doesn't seem like as big of a deal. Back in the day, though, that was just like brutal. So you put 3 shields on and heal 2, and I'm out. Like I'm done. So what about you? We'll finish this, and then we'll actually talk about some Destiny, answer a bunch of questions from the community about content creation as well. But surprises for you in your time?
So I really got into like my first videos, which by the way was not even called Battlefield. It was like Battleground. Mm-hmm. But then I completely changed it to Battlefield just with, oh yeah, we need to make a connection with Destiny somehow, some way.
I remember, I still call it Monk's Battleground.
Yeah, you do.
In my head.
But surprises in general was I took it way too strict when I first started. Because I thought it was supposed to be formulated, right? So I'm watching all these high-tech streams. Well, it wasn't really high-tech back then. It was more like people just putting up videos. So I wanted to make my own spin on it. Mm-hmm. So I think I was the first one to really like put like the framework up and things and stuffs around it. But I wanted to make it...
Which takes a lot of time and effort.
Yeah, I wanted to actually make it really presentable for a viewer, for people to actually start enjoying. Like, oh my God, I can't even... Surprises, how many people came into the stream? just like, hey, what is this game?
Isn't that crazy?
And it's amazing
Where do they
when
come
that
from?
happens. Yeah, and it comes from, just like you're saying,
The
everywhere.
internet, it's just crazy. It's this weird thing. It's a
small
series of
little
tubes.
boxes.
And even to the fact that it's really funny because you brought up the 8 hours away person. And for back then, I was streaming like 2-3 times a week, and I'm doing it for 8-hour stints. So I'm like staying up till like 2 o'clock in the morning playing Star Wars Destiny.
Well, that's crazy because I know you wake up at 3:30.
Yeah, that was crazy time. Again, wife deployed, so I had nothing else better to do. But
Dedication, though.
dedication, and like I got Europeans, like a lot of Star Wars Destiny Center, like
Hanging out,
dropping out. Just they're like, Mugway, what's going on? All the way from Ireland, Europe, all
Isn't
that
it
stuff
awesome?
over there. It's amazing.
It's really mind-boggling.
The connection in this game, again, bringing this continually back around to community. Again, this is a huge reason why I continue to do everything that we do for Star Wars Destiny, is the fact that the community is such an incredible entity in itself. And I don't think I would be doing this still if it wasn't for the community.
the community.
No, it's all about
awesome.
the people. If the people were, rude, insensitive, or just ruthless, it'd be like, okay, I'll just do something else. But they really just kind of keep driving us to do it every week.
I mean, I think that's like I said earlier about Covenant, it's like a big part of why we started is because of how much we value that community. And then you start creating content, you interact with a worldwide community, and then it's just like, whoa.
Yeah.
Right? And like, it becomes this thing where like, just, that's why like there's this energy I have, I was talking about, where it's like, man, I want to do this stuff. Because it's like, I know there's a worldwide community that I want to engage with, like way more often, because I'm just like, I'm still haven't talked about Destiny enough. And, Steven doesn't allow me to speak more about Destiny on this podcast.
He can't defend himself.
Yeah, well, no, he knows. It's like he just reins me in. It's like I start going on Destiny. It's like, come back.
We were so close to me and Sugi. We were like, hey, you want to just keep playing like over at somewhere else? But we're like, oh,
Last
20
night.
miles away? Oh, never mind. We're fine.
I slept up like 4 this morning.
20 miles away.
No,
No.
where he was,
Yeah.
his house of residence for the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really?
He's like 20 miles away.
Yeah,
No,
so we were
I'm
about to
much
like all meet
closer.
up again and just play some more Destiny
That's awesome.
after everything.
Well, I assume that's what'll happen this fine evening. So, okay, here's what we're gonna do. We had some awesome Palpatine Convergence spoilers hit for Destiny. We're not gonna talk about those yet. If you're a Destiny player, you're gonna have to stay tuned because we're gonna pitch that conversation to the very end of this cast. Before we do that, though, we get questions from our community, our audience, right? Using the hashtag AskCovenant. If you're new to the show, you can ask us questions. We'll answer them right here on the podcast. Hashtag AskCovenant, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube comments. And we specifically, we specifically queued people up to ask questions about content. So we're going to get a few community questions. We're going to answer those. Then we're going to talk about some of the spoilers coming for Convergence and how excited we are that those are coming out. And then we'll get out of here so we can get back to Covenant Masters. I appreciate you guys taking time away from enjoying the event to do this content.
Thank you for letting me come here.
Yeah,
in general. It's been a wild ride already, and I just want more.
We're like maybe halfway through it.
I know.
You got to hang on. Okay. So first question from David Smith. What type of content or topic areas would you recommend as a good starting point? I was thinking in regards to tech requirements as well as the ease of presentation. You guys want to take a spin on that one before I give my answer?
That is a loaded question.
It's a lot.
But I'll talk about the first part. So what type of content or topic areas would I recommend? Once again, what you're comfortable with. If there's like an instance of Destiny, you're like, I want to specialize in deck technician, deck building. I want to specialize in mill, aggro, mid-range, heroes, villains, specific colors. Focus on that and then expand as you feel comfortable. People like folks talking with authority. So if you're talking outside of your range of knowledge and you're kind of not sure what you're talking about, it really devalues what you're saying because people understand that you don't really know what you're doing. But if you're like, hey, I'm really good at mill, and I'm really good at these certain things, talk about it, be passionate about it, and then what's really cool is people will bring you new ideas you never thought about, and then you can grow off of that, and then more new ideas will come off of that, and it's just this like expansion that happens organically because you were true to yourself. And I think that's one of the things that makes high quality and highly entertaining content what it is it's not so focused on one and only thing. It just kind of evolves as it goes naturally.
Sure. Well, I think, to that end, one thing I want to mention, right, is that there are definitely content creators that act as experts. But the other reality is like, everyone has their own take. And it's like, I think there's a wall sometimes because it's like, I'm not the best player in the world of this game, so I can't have an opinion of value. But the reality, right, is like there's entertainment, there's informational, there's educational, there's authority kind of content, right, where it's like you don't have to necessarily be an authority, but the main thing is believe what you're saying and love what you're saying, love what you're talking about, and whatever. I mean, maybe the only time you ever play a game is at the kitchen table, and it's like there's tons of people like that.
Oh yeah.
And so like, I could find myself watching a Destiny cast or video or podcast or blog from someone who's not good at the game at all. And that doesn't matter. So that's not the qualifier, right? It's like you may be the best person in the world at having fun at this game. Tell me about that. Right?
But be authoritative. Like don't fall back and be like, well, it's like if you're gonna go in and believe in what you're saying. Like you said, even though you may not be the best, just own it.
Yeah.
Like just, hey, I am that person who plays at the kitchen table. Man, cool. Let's watch this show. Let's see what this is about.
Sure.
Okay, that's awesome.
What about you?
No, I was gonna say just like he's asking what type of content or just topic in general. The easy answer is whatever he's most familiar with at the same time. But as long as that person is enjoying it and having fun with it, no matter what the content is, it will boost whatever it's going to be done. Or like, in real life streams or in electronic streams, and anything that this person wants to put out, even if they want to go in a podcast scenario way, as long as he's putting that much effort into it or enjoying it, that's what's going to draw everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure.
Yeah, cool. And he's saying that in regards to the tech requirements.
Yeah,
right?
tech is easy. We learned this in college, and if you have a microphone and a camera, you have television. If you have a microphone and no camera, you have radio. If you have a camera and no audio, you're in trouble. So I always believe firmly that you should 100%.
Silent films are an art form.
Non-Destiny, not a podcast.
Just create like silent Destiny
Silent
content.
Destiny.
Well, I think so. The next question I want to get to, and we'll get to the tech setup. Thickneck Han on Twitter says, "What audio video setup do you use to record the cast?" So go ahead and continue your thought.
Yeah.
Then we'll talk about what you started with and maybe where you got to now.
Right. So I professionally trained to be an audio and video editor. So when we first started, the very first thing I told my castmates was, you must, no exceptions, get a quality microphone. We will not have subpar microphones. We will not have subpar audio. I'm not going to work with you if you're not going to invest at least for something good. And they're like, okay, we're in. And it was $100. They use the Blue Yeti microphones. I use the Audio-Technica AT2020. There is an updated version. It's like an AT2021 USB. But reality is you must make sure, and these are all USB-based microphones that plug straight into your computer, but you can run a XLR cable-based microphone system with a board that goes right into your computer for editing on the fly and mixing things. But the most functional thing you should do with a podcast, being a audio representation of content, is make sure that your recording functionality is the highest quality you can possibly get. If you're going to skimp and buy a $20 mic, your audio is going to sound like $20. But if you give just a few more dollars for, what we're talking about, these microphones are now like $80, $90.
Yeah.
It makes an absolute difference being able to pick up the tone and quality of your voice, and it sounds so much better and makes for a much, much better experience for the end user than if you try and just, I'm going to use my my Apple iPod headphones microphone. Like, you really shouldn't do that.
Yeah, you see that a lot too.
I really wouldn't recommend that.
But no, I have a Blue Yeti that I use as well. And then video-wise, the Logitech, right? The Logitech HD.
Yep.
Yeah, the 720 or higher, especially since just YouTube and any type of streaming service, you need higher quality than 720.
Internet's important too.
Oh yeah, internet speed, that type of thing. But if you have anything over 720, doesn't have to be Logitech. But any other camera base that you can hook up to your phone, or actually, as you guys can see, my streaming setup, I use my cell phone, which is actually
That's a pretty good camera.
nice.
That's what's cool. I mean, the cameras
Yeah.
are getting good. Like,
They're like 4K now, so
it's crazy.
It gets crazy. So you can use your phone. You can use a random camera you buy extra.
Well, and I think that's some really good advice. Like having some basic audio equipment that's good is a huge step. And then video devices are actually pretty affordable at this point. And the other thing is, you get started and you can do your thing and see if you gain any traction. If you do, you can invest a little more in some higher quality equipment, right? But
Exactly.
I think the other part of that is it's also important to recognize, right? Are you a good writer? Are you good at talking, right? Are you good at being on camera, right? Because being on camera is hard.
That's
And I think a lot of times, it's hard to just be normal on a camera, and people can pick it up, right? Like if they're watching you, and it's like you're like being like very like, I mean, you're overly pushing, right? I've seen a lot of content creators where they're really trying to just engage and seem exciting. But like video, yeah.
I almost said something.
Me and you.
I was thinking of Magic the Gathering YouTuber.
But the reality is like you be honest with yourself, right? And it's like, are you good just in audio? Podcasts are great. Podcasts are huge right now. Are you a great writer? Blogs, Facebook posts, Twitter,
Nope.
Instagram, like anything you can do to write, right? Like that's a huge medium. A lot of people read stuff. And then if you are good on video, it's like that's the hardest one, right? Because you have audio, you have video, you have your ability to be on camera, normal. So I think that's the most difficult. And then the other thing is like, the only way to get good at any of it is to do it.
Yes.
And to practice and to do it over and over. And don't be afraid of making mistakes. As far as our equipment, I am not technical at all. I see two Canon cameras.
I know those
I
Canons.
see some lights around. There's a Zoom.
There's
Is this a mic?
softboxes.
Zoom something? We should probably do an official like,
Zoom?
here's our gear. Zoom? It says Zoom right there.
Oh, okay.
On the mic. Is that
Gotcha.
wrong? It
No,
says
you're good.
Literally.
With XLR lavaliers.
That's right.
that work so precisely.
Yeah, those are way better than what we were using before. But maybe we'll post a blog or something with that kind of stuff at some point. But the main thing, again, like I will say, I think the biggest step is just doing it.
Yeah.
Start, post it, see if the audio is bad. See if people say, this audio is bad, right? Because like, who knows?
That's really how it is.
That's
when
the
you
best
first-
Yeah.
feedback.
So, all right, let's move to the next question. Max Linsky says, big fan of the store. Thank you so much for the content. Really appreciate that. Watched all our Keyforge streams and wanted to know what the recording setup is like, as I like to start live stream some games myself. So similar question. So we don't use our Canon like fancy cams for the live stream. What's the handheld cam called?
It's a camcorder,
Camcorder.
and we use the Elgato Cam Link.
Elgato Cam Link.
Yeah.
Whatever that means, you can Google it. But it's pretty simple. We have some good lights in here, and we have a good audio thing. But essentially, if you connect audio to your computer through USB, like the Yeti Blues you guys were talking about, that'll be pretty good audio.
Really nice.
You play on camera, they're laughing over there. Did I miss something? Is it just my lack of technical knowledge whatsoever? Yeah, sorry about that. I'm just not a technical. I know just
You're
enough.
an entertainer.
Well, the thing about it is like, I'm very scrappy. So when I first started, I had a little flip cam, right, back in 2008, and it's like filming these like really bad videos in but it's 720p.
You're dating yourself right now.
I'm old. I know it.
What is going on here?
But anyway, so I had a flip cam, right? No audio set up, and it's like just making it happen. But also back in 2008, 2009, very few people were posting stuff on YouTube.
Right.
YouTube started in 06. So
Good old days.
yeah, but the reality is like, just start, see what the quality's like, invest in what you can invest in, and don't, if you're actually excited and interested about it, right? I think that's the main thing is like, don't let technical stuff get in your way. Just start going. And once you start going and start getting some momentum, you'll be encouraged, you'll learn, do some research, right? You'll interact with people, and you'll be on your way. So.
I think another tip is interacting with other people within the community who are established. We've had a lot of people message Knights of Ren and say, hey, I'm new. Here's my first couple episodes. Can you give us some tips? And it's like, sure. We'll listen and respond, say, hey, I think this could be better, that could be better. But we like we Oreo sandwich it, so it's not just like, you're awful, it's more like, hey, this is great. This could be improved. Also, this is really good. And then most people who've like taken it to heart have gone on and become bigger. And some people are like, okay, and then they may or may not have continued to do it, and that's fine. But like, if you reach out to other people within the community and it doesn't have to be a content creator per se. It could just be like friends or people at your local store. Hey, I made this show. What do you think? And they'll tell you honestly, it was good, it was bad, or you can improve, and then you can move forward from there. Like, you don't want people telling you what you want to hear, because you'll never grow from that. But also, another thing is that creates networks with other people, and then you grow from that too.
Sure. Okay. Yep. See you later. No, I'm kidding. So I looked at the last question we had, and it was another gear question. I feel like there's a lot of people asking gear questions. One of you should start a YouTube channel about how to create content. I think we can probably YouTube it. I bet you there's already those channels.
I bet you there's
I have
quite a number out there.
Looked at, yeah, they're looking in the background like that's. Of course, it's the internet, right? What doesn't exist? But I think that's actually relevant, right?
It is.
Which is like, it's the internet. The most common things have probably been thought of. But the main thing, right? There's one monk. There's a lot of monks, but there's one this monk, right? There's even other monks in this community, in the Destiny community.
Yeah.
But there's only one you, right? There's only one Sugi. So you guys have your unique take, unique history, experience, background, the unique things you're passionate about, right? You guys do different kinds of content. So if you're thinking about content, that's why lean into who you are and what you're excited about, and I think that's your best bet. And figuring out which medium you work best in, whether it's writing or podcast or videos or Instagram pictures or, I mean, if you can sketch pictures, right? It's like, that's content.
Yeah,
like that's the same thing, Anyways, so lean into that, and I think do some basic research. We give some basic tips and advice and stuff here, but like, it's really just not that crazy. And the main thing is like, there's also a level of understand the reality of it is much more complicated and harder than the end result.
Yeah.
And it's like, I want to stream like Monk. And it's like, well,
That's off.
that's a lot of work, right? Same thing with you guys and the podcast and stuff. Like, I really love the podcast where you like talk to a bunch of people and edit it together, kind of like
I love it.
What was that serial show? It sounded like serial a little bit.
It was episode 506 because I was listening to that last night. We're gonna actually be doing another one in a couple months.
I wish you guys would just live in that lane. That's a lot of work. I
think that episode took like 20 hours to produce.
Yeah.
That took forever.
Well, it was awesome.
It was a lot of fun.
Episode 5 or 6 of Knights of Ren. You should check it out.
Yeah.
Okay, so before we get out of here,
Legacies.
we have a few more minutes. First thing I want to know is, so far,
Here we go.
general take. We're not even going spoilers yet.
Oh, no.
That's last.
Yep.
Not enough milk.
I swear.
That's funny. You get Mill out of
No,
here.
I didn't control.
Not enough control. You're right. Excuse me.
See, you caught him.
Bam.
So, Covenant Masters.
Yeah.
We're about halfway through.
Yeah.
I wish this was after so I could talk to you about the whole experience. What do you guys think? How you feeling about it?
Oh,
Are you referencing the thing I wrote on Facebook?
Not necessarily. I'm not. I don't expect anything here. I'm just curious. Like,
No, this I feel is one of the answers to that question that people have been asking for the past probably year. What do I do to get people into my store? Because there's just kind of this issue where like the game comes out, everyone buys all their boxes, they acquire all the cards they need, and then they're like, I may or may not come to the store. And then most of the time it's like only tournaments, and it's only packs, and it's always like top end, and people are like, yeah, but you can just come over to my house, I'll have a beer and play casually. And that's what happens is everyone goes to someone's house and play and not go to support the store. But what happened this weekend was like mind-boggling because it was like everyone gets the same thing. Everyone just gets to hang out.
Yep.
Everyone gets to play Destiny. And there is no like I'm better or I'm worse or I'm in the middle. It's just, hey, let's play a game. Okay, hey, you want to play a game? Let's play a game with it. And then like one guy was like, hey, let's switch decks. I'm like, what? He's
wait,
like,
we can do that.
Yeah, he was like, yeah, let's switch decks. I was like, yeah! like the light bulb just clicked, and I was like, why don't we do this every week in Dallas?
Yeah.
That's nuts! Or like the thing where you can swap decks or you can swap cards. It's like, this is so much fun. It's so simple. But no one does it. We should start doing it.
I'm complete with like, I absolutely am for everything that is being done here at Masters. It formulates more camaraderie, brings more community. Like again, it goes to the same thing that we continue to say during these podcasts and during this whole Masters series. And you obviously tell from the player base that's here, it doesn't even matter if those people are competitive or not. They're getting their fix because it's a Swiss Yeah, it's a Swiss thing. Everyone else is there to learn Destiny. There's a couple people that are here are kind of pretty much brand new to Destiny.
Yeah. Walked in, it's like, I think Covenant Masters Finale is my intro to this game. I was playing against Tony on the stream earlier, and he was like, I'm basically just here to learn this game. Because like I watched some stuff online, and I just need to experience it firsthand. And I was just like...
And that's amazing.
That's awesome.
But it's so inviting. That's the crazy thing is like, it doesn't matter where you are on the spectrum of Destiny.
Yes.
This is like the perfect place to do it. I'm not saying like Tulsa Covenant. I'm saying like this.
I would say Tulsa Covenant.
Well,
you know what I
yes,
mean?
that's one of the things. But like for people who are asking like what's been going on this weekend, because everyone's just like a buzz about it. It's like it's focused on the players, not the winners. And I think that perspective is going to shift the game if stores will focus on that more consistently. I love it.
Yeah, so it's the thing of stores, but at the same time too, again, it becomes that community aspect. If you want this to be something at your LGS, then make it your LGS.
Mm-hmm.
Take ownership. If you love this game, have that passion. Step it up and produce something like Masters at those type of stores. Because I can tell you what, Solidarity tournaments or like this type of tournament where anyone can switch decks, switch cards in between,
Swap between
people is unprecedented. It brings so much fun and excitement to the game, and it's fantastic, especially when everyone's like, oh, there's a possibility of getting something, or hey, everyone's going to get something anyway. Perfect.
Yeah.
I love it.
I think one of our kind of evolutions over the past year in our own just thinking about Masters has been, shifting that focus away from winning to what we've been talking about this whole episode, right? Which is just like building community, connecting with people, being welcoming, and sharing this with as many people as we can. So that's something that we're going to look to continue exploring in a lot of different ways. And I'm really excited about it. And it's really cool. It's the kind of thing where the industry has kind of just worked how it's worked forever.
Yeah.
And you just don't know how people are going to respond. And the more we do it, the more we hear from people. And there's people here that were like, I wasn't really thinking about coming until the kind of tone of the event switched, right? It's like, oh, you started talking about it this way, and I decided to come. So it's really encouraging. Like there were two people here earlier. I was talking with a father and son who play at the kitchen table, right? And had never been to a tournament. And they had a regional actually happening in their city 4 hours away. And they came here instead, which is just amazing, right? It's like I feel like there's so many people that are being kept at kind of arm's length this community.
Yeah.
Just because of how it's structured. And again, it comes back to what I was saying earlier about when I was creating content. I've been doing it so long, it's hard to remember what it's like to be new. But I think the whole community would benefit a lot if we can all put ourselves in the shoes of those new people and ask the question, what is keeping them out? Because ultimately, I think at the core, none of us are really here to win a playmat.
Yeah.
Right? At any of these Destiny things. We started playing Destiny because it was fun. We loved it. We got obsessed with it. We got good at it. We wanted to test our skills, so we went to a tournament.
Yep.
We got a taste of winning, and then it was like, okay, now the point's winning, which is not true, right? I think once you realize that, and I'm excited to see it panning out here locally, because it's like, this really is one of the first events we've put together that feels bigger, where the intent's always there, but like the verbalized intent is to hang out and have a good time, like going into the event. And I think there's something different about it.
Yeah.
Like it's just a different vibe to like a regional, like there's been no stress. No one's freaking out. And
No judge calls.
One of my favorite things, there's been no judge calls.
Oh wait, no, that's not true. I did call judge.
But, okay, you're the guy.
I was that guy.
But the reality of like, I was playing someone earlier, and they had 2 blue characters and a yellow character, and realized they had a red card in their deck. They had a lot of red cards, because they originally had a red character, and they had a legal red character.
I had a chopper in my deck. Yeah. Someone called me out.
A chopper?
I was like, oh, that is Empire War. How about this medical drone?
How'd you have a chopper in your deck? What happened there?
I wasn't paying attention.
Just in your box or something?
No, I just like chopper. I was trying to build a droid stack.
Oh, I got you.
The other night when we played Trilogies.
Yeah, Trilogy.
Because I had R2-D2, Chopper.
That's so fun.
I was like, all right, I'm going to build a droids control deck. And they're like, yeah, Chopper's Empire. I'm like,
yeah. But like they had that deck, and I was like, I don't care. Like you can either leave it or you can switch to the other character. It doesn't matter, right? And it's like in a tournament, that's how the game lost.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right? And so immediately it's just like the whole vibe is different, which I really love. So we'll keep exploring that and talking about that on the cast. So at long last, we've arrived. At the end of the show. I'm just kidding. It is kind of the end of the show. But the last thing I want to talk about, we finally got some Convergence spoilers, and we got that on the same day that we got the Allies of Necessity reveal, the new draft pack box. So I'm going to give you guys each a chance to tell me what so far are you most excited about, and why. And I'm going to let either of you go. One of you is going to get to say Palpatine. The other one's
I know. I'm like, ready, set, go.
Yep.
All right, Monk's got Palpatine.
I'm not Palpatine.
Palpatine.
I care
all
less
the way.
about Palpatine. I got to deal with Palpatine. He's not Mil.
Yeah, I know.
He's not
yeah,
Mil.
again, yeah, there it is. Okay. All right.
So
he's
what,
neither of the things I want.
what makes you excited about Pal?
No, I'm so excited. So again, we got very, very sad when new Palpatine came out, or the Senate Palpatine came out. Everyone thought, this is going to be the step up.
Palp
The next
2?
step up, Palp 2
The one from Legacies.
from Legacies.
The one who never gets played.
That gets played with either like Piggy or like Super Battle Droid now.
Yeah.
And like, don't worry, like his ability was okay. If you're able to roll those damage sides.
It's just so slow.
It's ultimately slow in a very fast-paced, high aggro, high mill/control meta.
Right.
But it's but no. So it just wasn't enough, and the unveiling of this Palpatine that can grow to
Every
unlimited
ability gives
power.
him another health.
And showing the real emphasis on the limited power. After Infinite drops, it will reduce a lot of the things that he can do. But
when it rotates.
when it rotates out for all the Awakening spot cards, but right when Convergence comes out, there might be answers to that Palpatine question to add more abilities to it.
I assume we'll get some more Force abilities in there,
I'm
which that is what gets me most excited. Because I feel like for a long time, there's kind of been a restriction on Force abilities because of Holocron, Sith Holocron, particularly the dark side or the villain. I always say dark side because I played the Star Wars LCG forever and it was light and dark side. But the villain side felt like it was being restricted because of Holocron, right? And now it's like Holocron's rotating out. So Infinite is still going to be Wildcats.
Oh,
but we saw
man.
Force Storm. That's the card I'm most excited about. Because
Expensive.
one, that art is Palpatine at his finest. That art feels like I thought the Emperor looked when I was a kid watching him lightning Luke, right? It's like this giant, ominous, just evil presence just murdering your favorite character on the screen there. And by favorite character, I mean Darth Vader. Not Luke, sorry. I like old man Luke way more than I like young Luke. I'm just saying.
Oh man,
Anyways,
Luke
we'll get
is
to
so
that.
sassy.
I like sass. That's why I like R2. Anyways, all that to say,
Everything
Force
you said
Storm is amazing.
Yeah.
And it to me feels like I loved Lightning when it came out. I also love blank manipulation, so I really love Lightning. Force Storm feels like the next layer of light, like the next level of Lightning. So I love that. What about you? What are you
Law and
most
Order. Play
excited
Law and
about?
Order. I'm excited for Tribal. Now that's a term from Magic the Gathering, which generally is a deck archetype that focuses on a keyword. So like Grievous with droids, it's like, okay. Gungans, okay. Jedi, could care less about Jedi, but maybe we'll get...
Jawa.
Ooh. That'd be fun. There's that 6-drop, that the Changeling.
Shapeshifter?
The Shapeshifter that can like adjust its keywords, which like... I don't know what they're going to do with Tribal, but generally Tribal is like the most fun you could ever play in a casual environment because you're just like, all right, Gungans, ho, Jawas, like,
Yeah.
and it's just like, who cares if you win? It's like Jawas versus Gungans, robots versus wrestlers. Like,
Yeah.
this is awesome.
I'm so excited at the fact of what this can do for the next set.
Well, I
I
feel
hope
like
Mandalorians are a thing.
I assume they will be. I
That'd
mean,
be
I
so-
feel like
should be.
we saw with Legacies, they started introducing subtypes for the first time. And I get a sense, and even from, I did a podcast episode with Jeremy yesterday. From that, I assume that's going to get heavily explored, which is cool. And I think the Shapeshifter in the Allies of Necessity pack is super cool because if these sets, all three of them, in this 7, 8, and 9 block or cycle, are going to feature a lot of these tribal or like subtype mechanics. Having a neutral character you can always include that means you can have any of those subtypes because you can easily it's
Think of that plot.
yeah.
I don't know about that plot.
But the reality
Looks
of
good.
like having cards, it's cool because they're not really adding much, but they're adding a whole new layer to the game without it feeling like a major new layer. It's like,
Right.
oh, we always knew this was a Jedi, but now instead of Spot Blue, we have Spot Jedi, Spot Apprentice, Spot Master,
right.
Spot.
Force Ghost.
I'm talking about all the like Force things,
I
right?
want like a Force
Spot,
Ghost.
Spot
With
Ghost.
Yeah. Spot.
Yeah. Anyways, so but you add a layer, right? And it's like a control card all of a sudden can be like
Yes.
really good with Jedi. Like Mind Trick should probably be spot Jedi, not spot blue.
Right.
Because like a Mind Trick being spot blue means that they probably are hesitant to put non-Force users in blue, even though there's probably some characters that make sense. Like even what's the guy from Chirrut? Right.
Oh,
Sure.
So he's
Yeah.
maybe a little Force sensitive, but like he's definitely not doing a Mind Trick.
Yeah, that's true.
Like that's not his thing, so like it just kind of feels a little off, right?
Yeah.
Anyways, enough of that. What did you say? Oh, just tribal in general is your
Well,
favorite
like
thing.
the thing about tribal, especially with Magic, was it was really simplistic to show up to a friend's house and be like, all right, you play this, I play that. Oh, yeah, sure. Because like sometimes you go over and you're like, well, do I want to play this, do I want to play that? And you're just like, nah, let's just do Gungans versus droids. Sure, let's throw it down. It's really easy to build, it's really easy to play, and it's fun. And it's super
So
quick.
fun.
Yeah, and if you're like, you're not needing to practice for a regional or big event, you can just like throw down the gauntlet challenge. And especially like we would do in stores, it'd be like, all right, people would represent a tribal deck. And then you have like the tribes going against each other and like getting points. And then at the end of a quarter, it'd be like, all right, the Gungans are number 1, the droids are number 2, and Jawas take third. And you're like, all right, next time we're coming after you.
Just think about a tournament setting like that. Not tournament setting, but just like this kind
Like
of
a
lax.
campaign,
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
Everyone brings some type of tribunal
Sure.
deck.
I mean, it's a whole new world,
It's-
right?
I
Yeah.
love
I'm
it.
excited.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a few things. First off, Sugi from Knights of Ren. If you haven't checked out Knights of Ren, please do. They're about as old as you get when it comes to Destiny content. Yeah, I like that old man sound. And if you also haven't check out Monk's Gaming Battlefield. You're doing some great stuff. I appreciate both of you coming on and spending the time doing this. Hopefully we'll get to have you on the show again at some point. A few announcements too. If you play Star Wars Destiny, people went crazy over these gold tokens. So there's black and gold tokens for Covenant Masters. We did an exclusive design for Covenant Masters, and then for the finale we turned them black and gold, and people like just lost it. But the problem is that they're very hard to make, and people have been asking us. I mean, there are even some people saying, "Can I register and can you just ship me the stuff?" And it's like, are you really going to pay $100 for half a token set?
Yes.
They were, I guess. We didn't let them. I don't know why.
Do it.
I'm just kidding. But so the problem is the gold has a metal in it, makes it very hard to do the process we use to paint these tokens. And so, because we can't really mass produce them or sell them or whatever, we decided to do what we could to get some of these out there for people. So we made a very limited amount of these, handful. We're going to be shipping those in random Convergence Saga sets. If you're playing Destiny, it's basically 1 of every legendary, 2 of every other card in the set for Convergence, so Convergence Saga set. And also the booster box subscriptions. So you sign up, you get charged a week or 2 before it comes out, automatically ships and shows up, usually on release if you're in the US or super close. And then of course, everyone buying that stuff helps us do everything we're doing, from this content to the stream to our learning series and stuff. So we appreciate it, but we're going to be picking random ones of those, putting these sets of tokens in. It's kind of like a golden ticket.
That's awesome.
Except for the golden ticket doesn't get you a tour of the factory. But you're just going to open it up. You're going to have some tokens on top of your Saga set or booster box subscription. And who knows, if the reaction to that is positive enough, we might keep doing that in future sets. But people have been just clamoring over those tokens. So we always want to, we really appreciate everyone that interacts with us and everyone that buys from us particularly. So couldn't do everything we're doing without you. And this is the least we could do for all of you. So again, thank you guys. Everyone, if you're listening or watching, please check these guys and their content out. They are worth doing. And like we usually do, we end with a question for the audience that we love hearing in the YouTube comments about. So my question is, dramatic pause. No, my question is, what of the new Destiny stuff that's been announced are you most excited about, and why? Until next time, keep playing.